Welcome to another edition of the Presidential Executive Podcast. Rag, boy JB. What's going on, bro?
Man, straight loafing.
It's all good?
Slow motion.
Everything is trucking?
Man, no complaints. If it was in the bid, it'd be illegal.
For sure, for sure. Hope everybody out there is doing well. Continue to like, subscribe to JBTV. All of our connections, Facebook, Instagram, all that.
Share
if you like, leave a comment. We appreciate all that stuff, man. So yeah, Rad, like, I know I've gotten hit up recently. People are surprised, you know what I'm saying, about this Steve Harvey thing, you know what I'm saying, which I think is
And what is the Steve Harvey thing?
The Steve Harvey, it's a video going around where I think he actually published. He basically said that there is several ways to heaven. You know what I'm saying? Several ways to heaven. There's more than one way to worship God, and just for me and you, I think I know how we believe and how we think on this, particular stance, but a lot of believers or Christians are kind of up in arms about it, because, they have viewed Steve as a brother pretty much. And so now with him saying, there are several different ways to God, it's kind of like they're taken aback. But, for me, he's not, I've never looked at him, in that vein. I've heard him say Jesus, and he's been on a couple gospel platforms. I know on TD Jakes Mega Fest, I believe, and hosting different events like that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not surprised, but then also I'm not discouraged just because it's Hollywood. It's kind of that Christian.
I just hate that us as believers, just because we're fond of somebody,
I think he entertains us too.
like we want to sainthood everybody that we're entertained by or that we're fond of, that we like. And it's okay to respect people in their platform.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Michael Jordan will always be the go to me unless somebody comes and does exactly what he did and surpasses it.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, not just do something, like do what he did and surpass it. So if you get to a point where you don't do what he did, then we can stop talking.
There's levels to it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, this person did, okay, but
right. This person has 7 titles, but it took him 15 tries to do it.
I mean,
14 tries to do it.
Yeah, you talking about Brady?
We're really talking about LeBron.
Oh, okay, I thought you said, because I was gonna say, my boy Cool Joe, 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0.
13 tubs, no interceptions.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
and historically throughout the playoffs was always clutch. Always never had a horrible playoff game. We just saw TB have a horrible playoff game, but but if somebody was to say, man, 49ers, man, Bulls all day long, you know what I'm saying? You already know what they say. You know what I'm ripping. But, and I ain't got a dog in the fight. We slawed out this year. Injuries kicked our butt. COVID kicked our butt.
Yeah.
But, if somebody was to tell me, like, oh, Joe Montana ain't a Christian, like, you know what? Okay. Don't have anything to do with him on that football field.
Right.
I'm not finna get into a fight with somebody because they say that he's not a believer. That's him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pray for him.
Right.
I love what he does on the football field. Don't have nothing to do with his personal life.
And I think a lot of people would, even with Steve, it's like because he's made a lot of these. He's said a lot of Christian words and a lot of Christian phrases on his radio show and everything else, and so now he's been in the fold in a lot of people's mind. So now when they see something like this, I hear him, saying basically Jesus is not the only way, people are taken aback, or even for those that, like in your case, what you're talking about, they may get discouraged and may be like, oh, well, he may be right because he's so successful. He has these, millions of dollars and stuff. Look at him.
Yeah, I gotta do better.
Popular guy over here.
Our boy Nod on there hit me up.
Okay. So people get kind of caught up in the celebrity of it. You know what I mean? And they can not decipher or separate pretty much, okay, what's really behind it? What's the fruit? You know what I'm saying? How's a guy giving this relationship advice, but how is his actual relationships, have been, and vice versa in the past, and whatever. He's,
again, like I said, we've talked about this before on several other podcasts, but if you don't believe in the Bible, and when I say that's fine, I'm not saying that's fine I agree with you. I'm just saying that's fine, as in that's your prerogative. It's not my job to force feed the scripture down your throat, to make you believe like me, to convince you that I'm right and you're wrong. And anybody who does that, and I'm telling you this as somebody who I got the paperwork behind my name, please believe that. That's scripturally inaccurate. If somebody says they believe in the God of the Bible and they're trying to force feed scripture down your throat and telling you that if you don't do it like they do it, you're wrong and you're going to hell, that is wrong. And that they can call me, they can tweet me, they can inbox me, and we can go. You know what I'm saying? Like I do this for a living. We can have at it. But with that being said, it's not my place to try to use my faith to manipulate you into changing. First and foremost, my job is to let my light shine in such a way that you're compelled to try to see why I'm moving how I'm moving and living how I'm living. Second thing is my job is to, when somebody is compelled or drawn to disciple that person, or basically come follow me. So let me show you why I'm moving how I'm moving, why I walk the way I walk, why I talk the way I talk, why I act the way I act. And it's not enough of that going on. But even with that, scripture says that, if the world is not going to like you or love you, and when I say the world, I mean that people who are not believers, and I don't mean specific individuals, but the masses are not going to be, everybody's not going to like, when we start talking about the scripture, everybody's not going to like that. Now, people that somebody from the neighborhood, somebody you went to Craigmont or TSU with, oh, that's my guy JB. That person, but the group ain't gone. Yeah. So what we got to do, if we're really looking with our eyes open, that if everybody's rocking with you, and I mean everybody from everywhere, then pull back and watch that person. Because if I'm standing for faith and everybody's championing me and amening me, it's something wrong with what I'm saying. Because when you start standing for faith, it's going to be some people who give you pushback.
They're real.
Because it's like people going to be, oh, it don't take all that. Oh, you doing too much. No, bro, you wrong, man. No, it's this, that. But when everybody is co-signing, if you're never saying anything controversial to where the world is saying, bump him. But a lot of times what you see with a lot of these people that's claiming, the scriptures, it be the church people saying something, not the world. The world be cool with it.
Right.
So that's why I said a lot of these people on TV, I don't pay no attention to, because I question the fact that the stuff you're saying, it's not challenging me as a believer. Because the challenge is supposed to be the believers, not to somebody who don't believe. That's like, how can I hold, and you know this, EJ is in school.
Yep.
Toby ain't. I mean, not in elementary school.
Right.
So, like, you're not holding him to the same standard as you're holding EJ, because they're not in the same plane.
Right.
He can't even identify with what EJ is doing, because EJ has a certain structure that he's dealing with, a certain level of lesson planning and stuff.
Right.
So for me to look at somebody who does not believe and hold them to the standard that I have, we're not even on the same. I can't hold you to that unless you say you believe that. Right. Now, when you say you believe that, I can hold you to that standard. If you don't believe that, I can't hold you to that standard. And so that's why a lot of times when I say, if you want to do this particular thing, I'm speaking to people. If you don't believe the same, if your faith is not mine, I can't impose my faith on you. So again, if I'm not a homosexual, I can't impose my heterosexuality on somebody who is a homosexual. That's wrong for me to do that. Just like it would be wrong that if I was a homosexual, it would be wrong for me to impose that on everybody else. That's my life, and whoever I interact with that want to do that, I can't impose that on people who don't practice that. And it's wrong for me to bully or pressure people into doing that because that's what I believe. So if you don't believe that, we don't even have to argue about it.
Yeah.
Because you don't even believe it. As long as you respect me, or as Bernie Mac said, you don't have to respect me, just don't disrespect me. As long as you don't disrespect me, you ain't got to believe the way I believe. I won't disrespect the way you believe, but don't you disrespect the way I believe either. But a lot of times what we as believers do is that we want to, people that we're entertained by, like you said, we're entertained by him. So now he got to be, he said the scripture, he got to be.
Right.
But I know people who don't even practice the Bible but said they tithe.
Right.
But they're wealthy. But that's a biblical biblical principles work whether you believe in the Bible or not.
Yeah, there's spiritual laws in the land, so they're gonna work.
Like the law of reciprocity ain't nothing but sowing and reaping. But that's a biblical principle. But it's people who believe in the law of reciprocity. That's a biblical principle. The law of sowing and reaping. It works. If you do good, good will come back to you. That's a biblical principle.
Yeah.
But it's people who don't believe in the Bible, but they practice that. They practice being good husbands, good fathers, good brothers, good sons, good parents, good workers. They practice biblical principles even though they don't believe in the entire Bible. The principles work. Don't matter who.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The sky blue, whether you see it or whether a blind man can't see it, the sky's still going to be blue. The principles work whether you believe in it or not. But it's not my place to challenge his faith or what he believes in or doesn't believe in. It's my place to keep doing what I'm doing. It's my place if you really care about somebody entertain you, to pray for them.
Right. Right.
Because we also know the scripture says that no man can come unless the Spirit draws him. So if the Holy Spirit hadn't drawn him, and picketing and hollering and whining and boycotting ain't gonna make him change his faith. Pray for them and intercede for him.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Just, if you do have an issue or something with, the way I look at it, a lot of Christians are people that, claim to be Christians. Those that, quickly walk away from the faith, I've seen, from my experience, they never were really in anyway. You know what I'm saying? You have some that, you have their reprobate mind and they, go off, but from my understanding, they have to be at a certain level, spiritually mature, have seen a lot of experiences through the, all that stuff to really, for that scripture to apply. But a lot of cats now, like I saw Stack Jack, he recently, I think, converted to Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But before, I think, other were part of the, thought he was a Christian or believer or stuff like that. What I'm saying is, it's time. People have time to change their minds. Like, a lot of people, they wasn't.
You got to understand why people are going through what they're going through, what they're dealing with.
Yeah, you have a right to do that. Like, even with my uncle, he was a Muslim. Like, honestly, like, I'm like, if I grew up in the 40s and 50s and saw some of the same things that they saw, you know what I'm saying? Coming into times, you have a white fountain, you got a color fountain. You know what I'm saying? You seeing your cousin or your uncle or something getting beat. You know what I'm saying? Getting murdered in the street or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you have this, this Christianity that looks like a white Christianity here in America, and then you see this other group over here have a community, seemingly have their back. You know what I'm saying? Seemingly have discipline, be together. It's like you would probably highly consider that option over there, not only just because of the hell that you see around you. You know what I'm saying? So I never blame my uncle for actually getting into Islam and being a Muslim, just because it's like I probably would have highly considered that too, living in those times and being, you know, in the places that, you know, that they were at. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, but a lot of these cats, you know, with Steve Harvey or whatever, like they, you know, they just trying to find their way too, man. So it's like he said, just, you know, pray for the people if you really have an issue with them, because, you know, more than likely their fate is not done. You know what I'm saying? They just are just in the process and living just like the rest of us doing. You know what I mean?
Even in the parable of the prodigal son, like the father allowed the son to go, see what's out there.
Yeah.
Knock your head, get followed. And when he got to when he had spent all his money up, when he was partied out, when he was at his lowest point, when he basically, and a lot of people don't even understand, his sin wasn't asking for his inheritance. His sin wasn't going out there and doing his thing, living his life. He had took on another man's name. He became a servant to another master.
Yeah.
So he basically, that was why, you notice, because when he came back, the first thing that he did was, it said he took the ring off his finger and he put it on his son's hand. Back in those times when you used to sign a document, it wasn't a written thing. They would take a ring that had their family crest or their name and they would dip it in the ink. And that was how they signed. So when he took that ring off, what he was signifying is you got my name back. So that would be like you Brown, you going and be like, all right, I'm finna be a Hughes now. Not only give me my money, but I'm finna be Hughes out here. You see what I'm saying? So now you basically not only took your inheritance, but you also disown your name. To your point about some of these people like disowning their faith. But the father let him go out there. But it said when he came back, it said the father ran out there to meet him, which means that even though he wasn't just losing it, like he was still dead. Pops was doing his own thing.
Yeah.
But he was watching though, because he had to know that he was coming to run out there to meet him. And so that's the good part of it is that whenever you do seek redemption, whenever you do seek to return, you know, all you got to do is go that direction.
Right.
And you don't have to wait for men to restore you or to elevate you. God will restore you and elevate you. But
and that's cool. This is kind of off subject too for a moment, but I just want, you know, I've been thinking about this for a while. Just like even with the Muslim faith, you know what I'm saying? One of the big things where people talk about the last name, you know, our last name from slaves, you know, Raglan or Brown or whatever within that, which is true. I don't discount that, but even when yours not.
No, we had a family member that actually did a book on our family, but basically what happened was it was a white guy who was an indentured servant who was forced to work for somebody else, ran away and went and hid, you know, got with some black folks and some natives and married a black chick, and his last name was Raglan. And so then their kids, you know, had kids with other kids, but that's where so not to say that I did not have, you know, slave people in my ancestry that were not slaves, but as far as Raglan came from, it was actually a man who was married to a woman that wasn't a slave owner. You know, from my great granddaddy and his folks. Like now, I know it is some other, because I know he had some relatives, you know, who were Raglans, and I'm not saying that that's not possible, but I'm talking about with my folks, and I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like I always thought that, and then we had a family reunion a few years ago, and we were talking about it, and they were talking about one of the cousins who had went throughout the United States and had went to like all the older people and was just interviewing the older family members and getting the family history and everything like that. And so that blew my mind. Now, like I said, on my mom's side, I don't know, but I know on my dad's side, you know, the Raglan, where they came from.
That's, you know, that's interesting. Like I said, Ancestry.com, I know some family members that are really into that and, you know, find out all that information. But to my point, I was saying, like, even when you're referencing God and when you're talking about that, like, we can get caught up in the last name, which is cool, I guess, while we're down here. But even if you look all throughout the Bible, like God don't use nobody's last name.
Yeah,
It's Jesus, it's Daniel, it's Adam, it's Eve. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's why actually naming your kids something with meaning or having some type of, influence or empower is so important. Just because your last name, that's trivial. That's what happened with down here on earth. That's whatever.
I mean, and that really the last name is just to connect you to other people who come from the same grandparentage or things like that. Because really in the Bible it would be Elias, JB son, Jamal's son.
Right.
Tobias, Jamal's son.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, and that was the way. That's the way it would be. Like if I had a son, it would be Rochet's son,
right?
Who was the son of Roche. Like that. Right. That's the way it would be. But that would be to connect to,
right?
Whoever. It wasn't. Like I said, the last names came from, like a miller was an occupation. It was something somebody did. If you milled, you were a miller, and so everybody who came from your father, who was a miller. Right. That's what he did. Y'all became a miller, or like a cobbler,
right?
Or a some type of like mason, if that's your last name. Like they were brick mason or stone mason or whatever.
Right.
So you had that last name, and so generally, like the last name would come from, where you stayed at, or the job or occupation that you had, and then all of that parents' kids would have that name because of what their father or grandfather did.
Right.
And so, like you said, that's a trivial matter. Like we're tripping about nothing really.
Right. But that's what a lot of people trip on. Oh, it should be X, and which that's fine if that's your cup of tea and if that's what you want to harp on. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying. When you meet your maker, or when you meet God, you know what I'm saying. He ain't gonna be, you know what I'm saying. He gonna say Roche. He gonna say Jamal. You know what I'm saying? You're going to say Elias, Rachel, or whoever. You know what I'm saying? I just thought, I've been thinking about that for a while. I'm just like, we can kind of get caught up in last names and, a slave owner like this. But what's your first name? You know what I'm saying? Did your parents put some stock and some thought to put into your first name? But that could be a whole nother thing we talk about. But neither here nor there. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Wish Steve Harvey well. Do what you do, brother. We'll be praying for you. Or not, or however, personally some people want to or do, but
pray for them.
Yeah, so that's what it is, man. But I want to get into what we're gonna talk about, right? What do?
Well, so like I was thinking, I thought about this because they were talking about Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers retiring after this year and how good their careers was, and then of course
great players, great players,
very 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 phenomenal careers. Both of them. Drew Brees is certified first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
You
say Drew?
Drew certified.
Yeah, for sure.
Debating on whether Phillip Rivers is not, but anytime that players retire, the question is always, did they stay too long?
Yeah.
And so then because you have some players like Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, Megatron.
Peak.
It was always like, you had more to give. You had at least 2 or 3 more years left in you. You retired too soon, but they retired at the top of their game.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, I know a lot of people, whether it's their homeboy, their homegirl, family member, relationship, like, they retire those relationships or friendships or whatever situationships. But like, when is enough enough? Like at what point do you realize, like, I need to let this person go? A lot of the popular term now is, this situation is toxic. And my philosophy on that. Like, I feel like if you stay in a situation that's killing you, that situation isn't toxic. You're toxic.
Yeah.
And this is why I say this. Like, if this was some Clorox, and it's a big old sign on it that says poison.
Yeah.
Now, when I take that first sip, I might not be able to read, but when I take that first sip and I fall out and I'm gagging and you call the ambulance and they pump my stomach and everything, at the point that I fell out and collapsed, I knew that that's something I don't need to do. Now, Clorox just gonna be Clorox.
Right.
It can't be nothing else but that.
Yeah.
It can't be nothing else but bleach. But now if I go take another sip, why get mad at the Clorox?
Right.
It's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Now if I use it on my clothes, if I use it to disinfect or to clean, but it's not for ingestion. If I do something with it that is not created to do, why get mad at the Clorox? Yeah. And so some of us are in relationships with people, whether it's your homeboy, but if every time we go out, he started a fight at the club and we got to pull the strap out, or we're running for our lives, or we're running from the cops, he doing what he's supposed to do. Why is he the bad one?
Right.
I'm the idiot.
What are you actually
If I keep going with him,
right,
I'm the fool.
Yeah. See, that's deep right there, because that could be a lot of different reasons. This can actually be a man and a woman problem. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
Oh, you know, I definitely went through that myself. So I ain't picking on women. I'm just saying in general.
It could be both. But for me, if I look at it from my point of view, if somebody does that, it could be a lot. It can even root back to, you know what I'm saying, your upbringing. You know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, maybe you're used to being in an environment like that and you just don't know how to get off or get away from that situation. Or in a female's perspective, if, let's say, their dad wasn't around as much, you know what I'm saying, now they didn't have that much experience. So it's like, so now, you know, they're put into a position to where, you know, they like the love part, you know what I'm saying, whenever that situation is, but then they look at the other part as collateral damage, you know what I'm saying, to where it's like, well, I'll take this. I think this will quote unquote get better, which is, it won't, you know what I'm saying, but it's like, well, but I like the love, I like this. Like, I know a situation to where somebody, a female, wanted, you know, she wanted a family. You know, she wanted a family. You know, women can think sometimes their biological clock, I'm getting too old. You know what I'm saying? I need to go ahead and do it before, you know, it may be tough for me to have these babies. So this joker came around, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't her cup of tea, you know what I'm saying? But persistence and just, you know how we do, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes if she says...
You're a lot more Christian than I am.
You know, you know what I'm saying? If she, you know...
We can still go to the trunk, I'm just saying.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm with you.
It ain't no situation, it's a phone call.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. But, you know, if, you know, you're persistent and you have... You know, you continue to take somebody out and do that, you can break some women down. You know what I'm saying? They'll come off of what they think they want and just, you know, go with it and be like, well, he's good enough. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going.
Have you ever heard of the expression digmatized?
Yes.
So, and I personally, like, I dated a woman once who said that I had never been in a real relationship because my longest relationship was only 2 years. And my reasoning was, is like, first of all, it don't take a long time for you to know if a situation is gonna work or not.
Right.
But and even for me, about a year and 4 months, a year and 5 months, I kind of saw the handwriting on the wall. I went another 6 because I was really trying to give that person a chance. And by me saying that, though, I wasn't passive aggressive with it. Like, I would directly have conversations about it. I would indirectly have conversations about it. What I mean by indirectly, like, sometimes I make a little joke, like we watching a movie, like, oh yeah, that's just how you do me. And then that, just so I could start the conversation up. Right. I would also, you know, I used to do this thing in this relationship where I would write her, I would get a card every week, and y'all don't laugh at me like I'm a hopeless romantic, but I would just let her know how much I cared about her, how much I loved her, and she ruined it for everybody because I ain't been writing letters ever since. But I'm not gonna say no names.
For sure.
But and I don't have no hate for it. Like, it's still all love. It's just I knew that wasn't a good situation for me in the long run. But I would write sometimes, like, you know, you drive me crazy, but I still... And so she would ask me, what do you mean I drive you crazy? And that would start the conversation up because I'm trying to give you opportunity. Yeah. But I saw when it got to that point, like we be with our friends, I'm like, oh girl, you know, I want to get married. I'm waiting on somebody to buy me a ring. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, her mind is, because I sat down with her dad and told her dad my intentions. She feel like it's finna happen. So I can do whatever I want to do.
Right.
But you talk to my dad, so it's finna go down. But like you're not changing. You're not growing. You're not, you know, you're still being selfish. You're still being spiteful. You're still being petty. Like you're still doing this stuff. So for me, it wasn't good after about 1 year and 5 months.
Right.
But I stuck it out through 2 years. And again, in 7 days, I might have had 2 that was good, but the other 5, I was like, you know what I'm saying? And keep in mind, like, you know, this relationship, like she said, like, hey, I want to wait till I get married, so I didn't touch her. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, out of respect for what, you know, what we talked about, like, okay, right. I didn't touch her, but I saw, like, okay, this ain't gonna work. But then you see you bragging about a 7, 8, 9, 10 year relationship, but it stopped being good after year 1. But you stayed 9 years because you're like, oh, the dick was good.
Yeah.
But you had to get a restraining order. You done had a miscarriage. You had to move back in with your mama. Like you done had vehicles wrecked. Yeah. You taking care of a grown man. Like all of this. But you act like staying for a decade or like almost a decade is a badge of honor, and you could have gotten killed.
Yeah. Right.
And I know people who lost lives or was put in the hospital because you trying to stay in a situation that you know that other people have said, and that's why I said I don't blame the dude. He showed you he was Clorox.
Right. Yeah. And shout out to all the people that actually get out, you know, those type of relationships. Like, and it's a different feel. Like I'm the married one at the moment right now, you know, so it's like, you know, in an actual marriage, you know, probably got to deal with a lot of more BS than you would in a, you know, in a regular relationship. It's levels to it, so I'm not gonna say, you know, what's what. You know, your line or whatever.
But so how long did y'all date before y'all got married?
We dated for about 2.5 years or so.
I was like, it was a minute.
Yeah, it was about 2.
Because y'all got married, it was 2013, right?
2013.
Yeah. But I remember, it was that long. Cause I remember like 2010.
Yeah, it was 2010.
Like, cause she would come back when you stayed at the other spot, and like sometimes would come and cook. I remember we watched one of the national championship games. Like she came and made
something for
the food and everything. Yeah. I want to say it was either when Duke and Butler played or UConn and Butler played. It was that championship game. My boy G. Hayward, cause he was in both of those games. Kimber Walker, Cardiac Kimber, was in one of them, and But yeah, like, so y'all was together for a while.
Yeah.
But so to your point, y'all had a lot invested before you said I do, before y'all made that commitment to each other. And I look at that as, and don't get me wrong, because you know some things I don't, but like that's the growing pains of a marriage. And then to your point, what you said earlier, like you start to see some things that other people, like the difference, the dichotomy of how you grew up in your dynamic and how she grew up in her dynamic, and so it's things you have to deal with. But I'm alluding more to, and I'm not just talking about dating relationships or sexual relationships or
friendships and being.
I mean, like, cause I had a homeboy growing up, and the moment I knew that I had to like keep my distance, like we was ratchet. We was on some hot boy stuff.
Yeah. And
so like we would gain access to some places that we should not have been in.
Right.
We would acquire some goods that we did not purchase. I believe that the statute of limitation is far gone, but I'll just say that we had a way of obtaining some things that we did not actually spend money for.
Okay.
But I'll never forget one of my homeboys. I don't know if you remember my homeboy, Sel, Chad's big brother. He came out and did the photo shoot with us that time.
Yeah.
We went downtown and stuff. He did the photo shoot for us. Editor of the Millings paper.
Yeah.
The guy told Chad's brother, that like the only reason I kick it with Shay is cause I know if we get caught by the police or whatever, he ain't gonna snitch, and I'm just gonna ditch him and he'll take the rest. And we had a time where I remember we were skipping school, and the only reason I didn't run is cause the assistant principal that was out there knew me and called my name. So it's like I could run.
Yeah.
But when I go to my next class, he gonna be looking for me, and like they would do the thing on the intercom in Raleigh, Egypt, Roche Ragland, we need you in this. So it's like, what's the point of me running? Like I do better owning up, and suffering the consequences. So, rest in peace, Mr. Ammer. By the way, he was one of the coolest assistant principals. But so he asked me, he was like, he said, Ragland, who was the guy that was with you? And I ain't know that nigga. Like, he's just somebody who happened to be walking when I was walking through the path.
Right.
He's like, well, he said, no, I see y'all around each other all the time. It's like, for real? In this school? We be in the same hallway? Look, I tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. You tell me who was with you, then, I'll let you go back to class. You don't skip no more. But who was there with you? Like, man, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
I can only speak for Roche.
Yeah. So
whatever you gonna do, you do that. And so he's like, all right, I'm gonna give you two choices. You take a paddling, or you take a suspension. I said, look, I probably should have been in class. I said, and I'm not gonna lie. I said, my grade high enough in there, anyway. It's not a class I really care about, but I got an A in there anyway. I said, so yeah, I didn't want to go because we had a sub in there. I said, so I should have been in there, but I wasn't. I said, so whatever the consequence is, I'll take it. I said, but I don't want to get a suspension, so I'll take the paddling. Normally the paddling was like 3 licks, but he was like, he gave me the one, and then he was like, you know what? He said, you took accountability. He said, I'm gonna let you go. He said, why ain't you telling the person that was with you? He said, I know y'all friend. I said, look, I can't speak for nobody but myself. I ain't got nothing to do with him. If he get caught, he ain't gonna get caught because of me. Right. He'll get caught on his own time, whatever. Like, but I can't answer for nobody but myself.
Right.
So we had that encounter. So he knew I wasn't gonna snitch. Like it's stuff we done been around and seen. Like we know. Right. Nobody else know. If you wasn't there. Right. Hey, it is what it is.
That's it.
But he knew from that what type of person I was. But he would always kind of do stuff to where he would be like, we get ready to go. Hey, I be look, go on, do it. You know what I'm saying? He would get me to do it. So again, something happened. It wasn't me, it was him. Right. He know I ain't gonna down him out. So it's like, oh, for real? That's what you think of me? All these years that we've been, and this somebody like I stayed in the neighborhood with, I had classes with. Yeah. It's like, that's what you think of me? So from that point on, you know what I'm saying? Like I knew it, like I don't know about now, but at the time I knew he couldn't whoop me. So like, okay, well now, you know what? I'll look out this time, you go. Oh, it hit different then. Right. You want, oh man, I can't get it, I can't get through that like
brother.
Not right, cause you want to set me up. And so I saw at that point, okay, you really do feel like that. Right. It's time for me to just kinda. Yeah. So now, hey, Shay, man, we finna go. Nah, man, I gotta go to, man, I'm gonna let y'all have it. I'm gonna get back with you. Right. Because every time, like, you mean me no good. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to juvenile. I don't want to get in trouble with my folks fooling with you. But your point of view about me is no good. And so, like I said, the same, whether it's a male or female relationship or whatever physical, sexual, dating relationship, whether it's a friendship, even family members. Yeah. At what point do you say, like, because people will use that. Right. I say, and I ain't trying to be vulgar or nothing, but like, look, just because I came out the same nutsack as you don't mean nothing. Right.
And that's a good point, just because I've been an advocate of, like, that's your family, that's blood. We just had a family call, a Zoom call, just to check in the other day with me and my family, and I cherish them, but if any of them are, become toxic or it's bad for me, or what I would call bad for business, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
What do you consider? What makes somebody toxic?
For me, my definition of toxic is, I'm a little different. Just because for me, you can't be toxic for me unless you're in my inner circle, unless we have a close relationship and I have to get in touch with you or we talk often. You know what I'm saying? Like, because to me, you can't be really toxic to me unless I let you in as often or consistently. You know what I'm saying? Because any other trash I can kind of filter out. You know what I'm saying? I would have to, like your cousins and stuff that you talk to, like I don't talk to my cousins and stuff every day. Everybody got their cousins that, maybe wilding out.
Hanging out with you.
Right. But they come full of family you and you kick it with them. You do what you do, but that's not on a daily basis. And so you can be like, okay, I fool with you because we only meet up a couple times a year or whatever. So I can't necessarily call you toxic unless we're on a level to where you're consistently in my life. Like, it's just like in a relationship, like you're living with somebody, you're married to somebody. So now these things can become toxic. Like, you're in my inner circle of friends. Like, if a relationship with you, let's do here.
I'm just glad
a relationship, could become toxic with each other. You know what I'm saying? But just because how much time we spend with each other and that influence that we have. You know what I'm saying? So, how would you call somebody toxic? Like, could anybody be it, or is it just like?
No, I mean, because, and not to put all our business out there, but like we had a time where we stopped talking for a minute.
Yeah, we did.
But I didn't consider you toxic though.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Like, we just had we came to something where we disagreed upon it so strongly that it was better for us just to not deal with each other, so we didn't get to where we was gonna say we were gonna personally attack each other or we was gonna come to blows, because the love was really real.
Right.
So, but because I love you so much, it's best that I just stay away, because we gonna
right.
Every conversation we gonna have is gonna lead back to this, and so
what I say, cooler heads prevail as far as just not.
And man, and you know what though, and believe it or not, I think it was you told me. I think it was your wifey that was like, you need to get it. You know what I'm saying? You need it, and this would shock me. And so this is why now, like when you had times where you get in my grill or whatever, like, cause I know what type of dudes you are. Like, you called me up and it was like, I need to rap with you, and then you're just like, man, I want to apologize. Like,
yeah,
cause I know you strong like I am, and like it's really like, now if I'm just flat foot, like I see like, oh dang, I was just all the way, like, yeah. But like if it's something I feel strongly about, and you felt strongly how you felt, and I felt strongly, but you came back and was like, hey, I handled this situation. I'm like,
yeah. And that was tough, and my wife can vouch for that.
And but again, and not only that, and then you was like, look, you one of my closest homeboys, been that way, man. I'm finna get married, and I want you to stand up there with me. Mm-hmm. And like from that moment, you know what I'm saying? Like it's been, we ain't never been at another point where it was just like, But again, even with that said, I wouldn't have considered you toxic because I knew you didn't mean me any ill. Right. You weren't intentionally trying to hurt me. We were not able to see the other person's point of view. Like we heard each other, but we wasn't understanding.
Right. Exactly. Now, just ask a question like, could your mom or dad be toxic? Just toxic. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm talking like.
Definitely.
People like your mother, your dad, your brother, in some cases, depending on how you grew up, your auntie. You know what I'm saying? Like those people can become your sister, your brother. They can become toxic because you see them so often to where now you can't really kind of get away from that vibe. You know what I'm saying?
And so again, I go back to the Clorox example. Most people who got a washing machine, or you're married, or at your mama house, like it's some bleach somewhere.
Yeah.
Everybody got some bleach.
Yeah, we got bleach.
But bleach serves a purpose.
Yeah.
And as long as you use it within that purpose, it's fine. When you get ready to wash your whites, nobody say, "Oh, that's toxic. Don't do that."
Right.
I know, like in my bathroom, I got a spray bottle. It's like, I put a lot of bleach in mine, but like, because I like for my stuff to be clean.
Right.
But like, it's I dilute it a little bit with water, but I disinfect with it. And then even like when I have white clothes, if I get a stain on it, I don't just put bleach in the water. Like, I get my little spray bottle, spray it directly on the stain,
Right.
wash it. I get some peroxide, add it on there,
Right.
get it right out. But I don't consider that bleach toxic because I know what it is and I know what it does. Now, if I choose to drink it,
Right.
and so to your point about the family members, your cousin's gonna always be your cousin.
Right.
Your brother, your mom, your dad, they're gonna always be there. When I see you at the family gathering, family reunion, if I need you to pick my kid up from school, or whatever, in your lane,
Right.
you're fine. But that don't mean I gotta be in your face every day.
Right.
I don't have to sit up and skin and grin and act like we the best of friends
Right.
if we don't really get along.
Right.
That's okay.
That's different. Yeah.
Just because I was in your womb, or just because I came out your ball sack, or just because you came out of my ball sack, don't mean we got to be up in each other's face every day.
Right. Exactly.
And just because y'all came out of the same one, don't mean y'all got to like each other.
Yeah.
Love and like are two different things.
Yeah.
Love means that no matter what, I'm going to always treat you right. I'm going to always look out for your best interest. I'm going to always not intentionally try to hurt you and care for you a certain way. Like means that I'm fond of you. It means that I enjoy you.
Right.
Two different things.
Yeah. Yep.
Two total, and you know this because you love your children.
Right.
You don't necessarily like everything they do.
No.
And I don't just mean behavior. I mean some of the activities they got to do.
Right.
Let them call you and say it's canceled. You're not mad sitting in the corner because you can't take them to this practice or this, conference or event or whatever. You finna watch the game. You finna
chill,
shoot a video, edit.
Right.
You finna kick it with wifey for a minute or whatever.
Yep.
You not studying that event.
Right.
Because you don't necessarily like that event. You love your child.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll say this, like when I was growing up, like my dad, he played ball, high school, college, like the whole nine. So let me get my grades not right and I couldn't play. What you think my dad was doing? He was at the game.
Right.
Watching my teammates, cheering them on.
Right.
Because guess what? He liked basketball just as much as he loved me.
Yeah.
So he was more invested when I was there. But if I wasn't there, it didn't matter. He was going to be right there.
Right.
Yeah. And my baby brother, who's the best of all of us in terms of that, my household, like, he enjoyed it so much, he was the assistant coach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then, like, with my mom, let me be on punishment of my grades bad. What mom doing?
That's over.
Man, mom's getting some extra hours at work.
Yeah.
Mom got class that night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mom at home cooked. Mom got her feet kicked up and the house shoes on, watching whatever she was watching. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't remember what she used to be watching, but I don't know. But she enjoying her stories.
Yeah. Mama family.
You know what I'm saying? Man, Golden Girls, Melrose Place. Like, she be watching. You know what I'm saying? Like, and my pops get home and be like, "You ain't gonna take us to the game." Like, oh, well, he couldn't play. Like,
right.
But that's the same thing. Like, you don't necessarily have to like a person's behavior, and because you don't like their behavior or their attitudes or their actions, that will affect how you fellowship or spend time with them. It doesn't mean that you don't love them the same way.
Right. But everybody should have their place in your life. They should, you have to properly do that. Like, I think, especially in the black family, I think because, those figures can be so big. Big mama, our mama, you know what I'm saying? Like, to where now if big mama or your daddy or whoever else, if they're toxic to you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we feel that we still have to become or stay attached just because of the lineage of where we come from. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's, you know what I'm saying? That's a personal thing, which, we have to, try to get away from, like, whoever that is. Because I think it's easy to detach from friends. Sometimes, I guess, depends on the level of friendship, but it's easier to do that. But then when you're talking about honestly, probably you would probably say most people have that toxic stuff in their family to where now, it's kind of a gray area to where you don't know. I mean, this is my sister, my cousin, my auntie, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can I detach from them when that's my blood? Like, how am I supposed to detach from them? Like,
I mean, again, you don't, when you have family functions, you go, you eat, you laugh, talk, whatever, but when it's over with, go your way.
Right.
In some cases, now don't get me, it's not with all my family, but in some cases, I've got some homeboys, I got some friends, acquaintances, associates that are closer to me than actual family members. Yeah. If I get into and I've gotten into some situations, I probably call you before I call certain family members.
Right.
I call, you know what I'm saying? I call Hawk, John. I call Stefan. I call, D. I call Tyrone, Thad, Glenn, Yip. Like, these are guys I kick it with on the rig.
Right.
That if I'm going through something, and just like when I go through something, man, you shoot me, hey, I just want you to know, man, I'm praying for you. I hope you're all right. These dudes, same thing.
Yep.
Man, I know you was going through a lot. I just wanted to check and make sure you was all right. So that let me know. And the same, like when they going through something, call, hey, you good? You need anything?
Right.
So we know what it is. But at the same time, when you leave from your family, don't mean you have to be in a grill all the time. And I know people that like will be sitting in a room with their family members in real life are gritting their teeth. Like you hear their teeth grinding because they can't stand it. And it's like, why would you torture yourself?
Right.
Just to look good for other people.
Right.
Who ain't practicing what they preach, who don't like their own family, who don't hang out with their own family for the very same reason that they telling you should hang out with yours.
The goal period is to try to build functional quality relationships. You know what I'm saying? In life, period. Like, however, you do that. Like you say, blood thicker than water, which is true. That's just fine. Like I have,
if you actually cut yourself open and let the blood drip and go, yeah, it is, but not in
right. Not the way some people interpret it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, I'm, with some of my friends, I'm closer to probably y'all than I am to my blood brothers. Even though me and my blood brothers, we still cool or tight. It's just a different relationship. You know what I'm saying? My oldest brother, 15 years older than me. My next one is 8. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a gap. Like I'm now, at this point now, I'm 38. So I'm like, we're more on a level playing field to where we're getting to know each other on a more grown man intimate level than when I was, 20, 21, and they, around my age, they going through different stuff. I'm in college, doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? That's on a different life level than where they are. So it just really kind of all, and I think that's fine. Like people, we had a conversation the other day with my family on Zoom, and one of my cousins admitted, she started working with one of my cousins, which is her brother. They sell life insurance. You know what I'm saying? She admitted just like she started working with her brother, and they're about 3 or 4 years apart, I think. And she just admitted, she was like, I never really knew my brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm now getting to know him now because I'm working with, you know what I'm saying? And so I thought that was a real mature thing to say, because I'm just like, who would think you grew up in a household with your brother or your sister, you think automatically this person, y'all should be super tight, you know what I'm saying? But it ain't always that way, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that disconnect is, it just happens. Like even for my situation, I'm very close with my sister, Zarina. We just 14 months apart. So, you know what I'm saying? That communication is real. I know her, and I believe, she knows me. And so, but, everybody doesn't have that same experience, or to even believe that somebody that you grew up in the same household, that you should automatically connect with them or automatically just know them inside and out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the expectation. But, you know what I'm saying? When she brought that up yesterday, I was just like, man, that's dope. Because for one, I don't think a lot of people would admit that. You know what I'm saying? And for two, it's like, And it's okay, man. Just like as you grow older, you got different experiences, and you know, latch on where you latch on at. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, whatever that is. Like if you're in a romantic relationship, you trying to get a friendship, a business like you want all your stuff to be productive. That don't mean that, you know, that particular person ain't gonna be no a-hole. You know what I'm saying? Just like I think we were talking about what they were talking about, the president or something, or Trump at the time. If we handle business properly, I ain't got like everything you say. You know what I'm saying? But as far as what we're trying to do, you know, how this relationship is built, are you functional?
So I would ask, so when would you say, so homeboy, when is enough? Like at what point should you cut a homeboy off? Or a homegirl?
Shoot.
So like we talking about a female named homegirl, like you got a homegirl or
right.
You got a homeboy, like when would enough be enough?
At this age, at this now, like enough will be enough probably when we don't see the eye to eye on the foundational stuff. I guess like when I say foundational stuff, I'm just like, you know, morally, like, you know, certain things. I want to kick it and have fun and do that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But if you try to go too far, I guess, in my opinion, off that edge and don't really, you know what I'm saying, you know, have my situation in mind. You know what I'm saying? To me, anybody that I hang out with, I want them to at least put out the option. You know what I'm saying? If I'm tripping, you know what I'm saying? But I still may do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? But at least if I do something, if we out, we kicking it in Vegas or doing something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, look.
I don't know if you'd be allowed to go to Vegas.
You know, yeah.
When I went, though, I will say, I was proud of myself. I was able to take communion.
Oh, really?
I was able to take communion the next day. I didn't do anything I had to ask the Lord to forgive me for in Vegas.
Yeah, you know, I want what I would say accountability, but you know what I'm saying? But as a grown man, you know when just to be like, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let this grown man do what he do, but then I'll present the option and be like, you sure? You know what I'm saying? Are you know what I'm saying? And if I don't have that, I guess that's what I mean when I guess, if that makes sense, the foundational stuff. Like, you know, other stuff, if I just see like you just gonna let me just do whatever, whenever, like, I kind of probably don't need you, you know, around me on that consistent basis, but be like, you know, present the option, you know what I'm saying? I can at least always say that you know, somebody presented, you know, it ain't got to be no long talk. You can just be like,
If
you sure, JB?
I would say from a friendship level,
Mm-hmm.
if that person is always taking, but it's not reciprocated. And when I say reciprocated, I don't mean like, because you may be the guy with the money, right?
Yeah.
Well, your homeboy ain't got money to give, like that ain't his role. But like, if somebody get ready to jack you up or throw them hands at you and he ain't nowhere to be found,
Right.
like, you got to do something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't got the money, but like you gotta, or like if you need to vent,
Right.
okay, I ain't asking you for no money, but at least be a listening ear.
Yeah.
If you can never do what your role in that friendship is, cause
You right about that. Everybody got their
you know, like and I got people like I call them not our boy, not Butler, not Pat Butler, but our boy, I call him Project Pat. They go to breath.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Meditation.
Yeah. Lofty.
But like I know I can call him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be like, hey man, I need you to pray with me, or like I can call him and vent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then like, and he don't call me, but it'll be times he'll hit me up and be like, hey, you know, I was reading this. You know, like, what you think about it? Or break this down for, you know what I'm saying? And so like, for whatever, and it's been sometimes I hit him up, you know, he just randomly call me, man, you good? And I'm like, man, I ain't gonna lie, I'm in the.
Right.
He's like, what you need? You know what I'm saying? But then when he called me and it's like, I need to talk to you, I need to ask you, like, man, I don't care. Take as much time as you need.
Right.
Now, we don't talk all the time.
Right.
But for what our relationship is, he does what he's supposed to do. I do what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? It's been some times I've done something and he's like, man, you know what? When you did that, that encouraged me to do. I was just sitting there, man, and that motivated me to do. You see what I'm saying? So as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, cool. But now if I start putting you in danger, if I'm always taking, if I'm just selfish, you know what I'm saying? If I'm neglectful, if I'm always hitting you below the belt, stuff that you're sensitive about, that I know that nobody else know, but I'm hitting you with it because I'm being petty or whatever. At that point, it's okay to say we had a good run. We will always have the high school basketball team or the track team, or when we used to always hit the movie theater up, or man, you remember that one summer, man, we was hollering at the two cousins or the two sisters or whatever. Like, we'll always have that, but we ain't gotta always be up in each other's face. You know what I'm saying? So I think from a friendship perspective, when you're constantly put in situations where your life is in danger, or you might end up having to go to jail, or you know, somebody's always taken from you, or you always are drained, you're always having to save this person. And they're constantly putting you in a position where you're at risk because they're putting themselves at risk. At some point, you got to know when to say.
Make a good point. So basically, if that person is a liability to the group,
and not an asset.
See, okay, that's a good point, because when I think about my group that I'm around, you know, the most, or that, you know, my core friends, like, we all bring, you know, certain things to the table to where, you know, we may lift, you know, each other up. You know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, it's no. That's a good point. Like, if you look at your circle of friends, or the people that you hang around, or your relationships, romantic or not, like, can you say somebody's a liability? Just like he said, if somebody's not, you know, giving, or they're always, you know, just not giving anything, or they're just receiving, and they're not inputting any wisdom or any just common knowledge, whether that could be entertaining knowledge, or just like if they're hidden below the belt, are they really, you know, talking about certain things they probably ain't got no business talking about intimately, like, you know, like, just like I'm married, just like if somebody else not married, but you trying to joke on my wife, or you trying to say stuff, but first of all, you ain't in that situation, you know what I'm saying, but you trying to Joan on my wife or Joan on our situation, you know what I'm saying, like, certain things you just shouldn't.
Or even if you was dealing with something in your marriage and you shared that with me for some advice or for some prayer or whatever, but then when I get around the guys, then I bring up what you shared with me in confidence, or for prayer or for advice. You know what I'm saying? It's like, true. I came to you on the one-on-one for a reason. This wasn't for everybody. This was because I needed some good counsel or some good wisdom, and you know, now everybody know what I'm dealing with. And so that ain't a good look. What about with family? Like, when would you say enough is enough? Like, at what point should you distance yourself from a family member? And this could be any family member, like distant cousin, first cousin, mama, daddy, brother, sister, auntie, uncle. Like, at what point should you say, okay, I'm gonna deal with you on we're a related level, but outside of that,
I guess the same way with that, but I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer for that, because, but I'm gonna just assume that me and this family member are close, and we always are, I guess, in each other's space and stuff like that. Like, for me, it would be, are they an asset or liability to me, my family? Like, how are they when they're around my kids? How are they when they interact with my wife? Are they necessarily, comfortable with that? So I would, with a family member, I would, if I can answer those questions, then I would be like, okay, but it would have to be, for me, utmost, I would have to be uncomfortable with them around, I guess, and how they, interact with me. But I'm kind of nonchalant in a way. I'm just like, a lot of stuff just kind of roll off my back. So if it ain't, I can just like, okay, whatever, you ain't in your right mind. So I'll just kind of shoo it off a minute. So what would you say? If a family member, what would make you cut a family member off?
Well, I mean, and I dealt with this, and I mean, we on point now. But it was just, I was constantly put in situations where you took advantage of the fact that, because see, like, family can hit you in a way that a friend can't.
True.
Because like with your friends, you choose to love and interact and hang out with your friends.
Right.
With family, it's a sense of obligation because we are related that we do it because we'll always be blood. So I gotta do it for my family. Whereas with my friend, I'm choosing to hang out with you.
Right.
My family, we gonna always see each other at the family reunion, at a funeral, at a family gathering. We gotta deal with each other.
Yeah.
But I was constantly put in situations, and then it was like, you not regarding my safety, my health, my well-being, and you'll put yourself at risk to the point to where you put everybody else at risk, and it's just like, well, they my family, they got me. So y'all got to have me because y'all my family, and as long as I call y'all, I'm good. So it don't matter, I can blow the Capitol building up, y'all gonna come through and rescue me. And so now you got the feds in my door. You know what I'm saying? I ain't have nothing to do with anything that you had going on. And it's like, so I went through a period where, if you get something, I gotta bring it to you or whatever. Birthdays, I remember whatever, but just that talking, hanging out every day, calling you. And my situation was like, I was seeing this person every day. And would walk right past them like stranger in the street. But my thing was, and we were able to talk it out and hash it out, but my thing is that had I kept interacting the same way I was interacting, like, the change wouldn't have came. So the change came because the fact that I wasn't interacting anymore was so bothersome that it was like, it caused them to blow up and like, why you not talking to me? I don't understand. And so it's like, okay, now you're ready to listen, because I had been saying what I was saying for years. Right. And it's like, man, you right, I hear you. Yep, you sure right. And then tomorrow you do the exact same thing.
Right. Yeah. And that's another thing too, holding people accountable.
Yeah.
Because this could be for the married people, just like, every argument is not a bad argument. Certain things you do need to address, even though it's going to get uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying? But you may need that uncomfortable vibe to rock the boat to get back to a higher level, a higher place than where you need to be.
Well, if you don't have a conversation, though, what happens is, and you probably have dealt with this, you can attest being married, when something is unsaid, it just kind of builds up.
Yeah.
And then the next time it just builds up. Yeah. And it just constantly builds. It's almost like when you're shaking a bottle up. Yeah. You shake it a little bit, you'll see the bubbles moving.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? But the more you shake it up, at some point, it'll get to, where when you open it, explode. But then sometimes, depending on the bottle or can, if it's enough pressure shaking it up, you ain't got to open it up. It'll just explode.
Yeah.
And when it explodes, it's a mess, and it's a lot of collateral damage. And so, like, when you're in a marriage relationship, if stuff goes unsaid for so long, the collateral damage could be other family members that don't necessarily know y'all's issue. The collateral damage could be y'all kids.
Yeah.
The collateral damage could be you saying or doing something that once it's said or done, you can't take it back. It's like toothpaste. When you squeeze, like, you squeeze that toothpaste out the tube, you can't get it back in there.
Yeah.
And as much as you try, and if you done try, you get you like a little butter knife or something, you try to put it back in there, it's not going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, once it's out, it's out. So,
yeah, man.
I would say with a family, especially like if somebody does something to your kids, especially.
Yeah.
Distance.
Yeah.
If you and your spouse are good, but you got somebody undercutting your significant other, distance. But then, like, going back to like my situation, if I'm constantly bailing you out and saving you, but you're taking advantage of the fact, because if you was just my homeboy, if you was just my coworker, if you was just my neighbor, if you was just my church member.
Real niggas, go getters, the hustle.